Hi, I'm Richard Meyer. I own Sensing Solutions and Controls. Many of you have received a phone call about a trend I have noticed using older quote-unquote click and clack technologies to provide safety, and I'd like to delve into that a little more today. The manufacturer I'll be showing is all Pizzato. They're an Italian manufacturer, and I've been using or selling or working with a master rep on these for quite a number of years. I'm going to dig in first to the very basics. This would be a 3-contact block, which is going to be completely assembled the way it is. You can see that it's green, red, and an illumination bulb basically. And within these contact blocks, essentially what's going to take place is a double pole, single throw actuation. Once you've selected the block, which obviously that's my job to help you with that, there's a little lever basically attaching it. And this is kind of unique and is a very positive way of attaching the device. Really pretty cool. And then obviously this is a button with an illumination in the middle, green and red. You would also attach e-stop devices very similarly on such a contact block. Going along with e-stop devices, I've got this one pretty clever one here, which would be a pull rope, and these are unique. You don't really see that little label like that on a hot dog. All of these devices then, where you're throwing an e-stop, are going to go into a safety relay. And there are 2 videos that will be coming up soon. One is on the rear mosaic programmable relay, and that will be a pretty interesting one. Also, I'm going to talk about the very bare bones safety relays from Contronex, Pizzato, rear, things that just do the very basics of I have an input and I want to make sure that no contacts get welded in place or the PLC misses it, etc., etc. This is a hinge. You can imagine how this would be put on an aluminum extrusion or a steel frame. It is not impossible to defeat these things, and that's part of my discussion with this video, is more or less undefeatable older technology. You can unbolt these things so that when you open and close the door, it doesn't interact. Basically, you just unbolt that, and now the operator can just have it disengaged. So when they open and close the door, it doesn't throw the e-stop. It's also possible to do that with these little magnetic switches. These have become very popular. They're not terribly expensive, but they are easy to defeat. Essentially, this is just a magnet. There's more detailed RFID versions of these, and there is a video already on the website talking about Mechan, M-E-C-H-A-N, stainless steel IP69K RFID devices. Before we get into the safety interlocks and safety switches, I'm going to use the background or the body of what we're going to be looking at to just show a limit switch. Now this could be used for material has come into a machine, or material has gotten low and it's time to replace the material. This can be a limit switch with an actuator or something coming to it. Do it like that, and showing that shows how a limit switch could be part of the control. This is a safety interlock, and you'll notice it has the double pole single throw relay device built into it. This is the actuator. It is sometimes known as a key, and I'm going to switch over for just a second and show some of the actuators that are common. A key could be built into the safety interlock as a bypass. It can also be a separate device put onto like a contact lock. This is a key. These are actuators, and the actuators fit in here, and I'll show you how that is released in a minute. To make things confusing, Pizzato uses the letters KEY in their part number for these actuators. I will make note of that in the proposals I give you, so you don't feel like I'm charging you $4 or up to $14 for a particular actuator. The cost points for an actuator are basically the amount of play or degrees of freedom that they have. These are arranged basically from cheap to more expensive. You can see this one has degrees of freedom in actually 3 axes: up, down, forward, back, and in and out. These are really handy. I like these the best because you bolt to a little bushing, and then the rubber grommets allow it to move in all 3 axes at least a little bit. This is a larger, more robust key with basically the same design. As I mentioned, this actuator will not allow me to take it out because this is a normally closed circuit. So when there's no power on it, it captures this actuator. This can be adjusted, actually, set up to be the exact opposite. So when there's no power on it, the actuator is removable. That is not uncommon with hard guarding, that when the power goes off, now the operator can open up the guard. However, sometimes you need the exact opposite, or you need a signal that is timed in some way so that the robot or the process or a laser or what have you can turn off for a period of time before the operator can interact. I have this wired up here in the shop to run on 24 volts. You heard the relay go, and now the actuator is removable. And I said, there's a mechanical here, you can change that. Another thing that's interesting, and we're going to bring in some close shots in a minute, but the connectors where the wire is joined up with the relays. In Pizzato world, they attach the tabs that hold the wire in to the screw. So as I unloosen the screw, the tab moves with it, which makes an installation much, much easier. If it's not, you basically have to shake it, you have to catch it, you have to put the wire in. Frankly, a big hassle. This is another example of a limit switch. What's cool about this is you can extend this very easily so that either a very small amount of travel will turn it on, or a very large amount of travel. Final safety note is getting into the actual panel. This extension enables you to interact with the PLC, communication modules, drives, safety modules, etc., without having to open the door. Thank you for watching this. I think this is valuable information, and I appreciate your business, and please don't hesitate to call with questions or comments.